The Commonwealth v. Peterson case was fought in the Supreme Court of Virginia after first appearing in the Circuit Court of Montgomery County and was decided on October 31, 2013. Even if there was a special relationship between the Commonwealth and the students of Virginia Tech, due to the facts of this case, there was no duty for the Commonwealth to warn students about possible criminal acts by third parties. Thus, we will reverse the judgment of the Circuit Court.
These are the procedural facts of the case Commonwealth v. Peterson. The appeal that brought the case to this point originated from the wrongful death suits that were filed against the Commonwealth in the Circuit Court of Montgomery County by the two murder victims from the tragic 2007 mass shooting that occurred at Virginia Tech University. They were the administrators for the estates of Aaron Nicole Peterson and Julia Kathleen Pride. In this case, it is questioning if a special relationship existed between the students of Virginia Tech and the Commonwealth. Under the facts of this case, the Commonwealth would have no duty to warn the students about the potential for criminal acts by outside third parties.
For procedural fact number 3, there are two main things. First, the administrators filed multiple claims, including one against the president of Virginia Tech, but ultimately it only ended in a trial against the Commonwealth of Virginia. Second, the court granted a plea of res judicata on this case, which basically means no further consideration would be taken and the decision was final. The administrators decided to appeal this decision, but the court denied this motion, and Peterson and Pride's wrongful death suits were consolidated and proceeded to a jury trial against only Commonwealth. Finally, for the last procedural fact. We know that the jury within the trial court returned a verdict in favor of the administrators. Of course, they were excited about this, but they were devastated to hear that after consideration from the court, the payout changed from $4 million each to $100,000.
These are the facts of the case. At 7:30 a.m. on April 16, 2007, police responded to a school shooting at a Virginia Tech dorm, West Ambler Johnson Hall. We know that Virginia Tech Police, Blacksburg Police, and Virginia State Police all became involved in the investigation. The officers on the scene thought it was an isolated occurrence that did not pose a threat to others and that the gunman had fled the site. They didn't think a lockdown on campus was required. At 9:30, the mass shooting at Norris Hall began and the students received an email saying, "Gunman is loose on campus, stay in buildings until further notice, stay away from all windows." Aaron Peterson, 18, and Julia Pride, 23, were among the victims murdered in Norris Hall, and later the police identified Sang-Hyu Shu as the shooter. They claimed that the Commonwealth's employees at Virginia Tech had a special relationship with Peterson and Pride, which gave rise to the Commonwealth's duty to warn Peterson and Pride of third-party criminal acts, and that the Commonwealth's failure to warn them was the proximate cause of their deaths and the administrators' losses.
The issue of this case is that the administrators of Peterson and Pride's estate filed wrongful death claims in the Montgomery County Circuit Court against Cho's estate, the Commonwealth, and 18 other individuals. The cases were combined, and the Commonwealth was the only defendant at the trial. In accordance with the Virginia Tort Claims Act, the administrators declared that the Commonwealth was liable for the actions of the Commonwealth's employees at the University of Virginia Tech. The Virginia Tort Claims Act is a statute that provides a limited waiver of the state's immunity from tort claims, but does not waive sovereign immunity as to the Commonwealth's employees. It was argued that there was a special relationship between the employees of Virginia Tech and Peterson and Pride. This argument implied that it was the Commonwealth's duty to warn Peterson and Pride of the third-party criminal acts, and the failure to warn them was the major cause of their deaths. However, the Commonwealth declared that there was no foreseeable harm to the students at Virginia Tech and that the evidence failed to establish there was any alleged breach of duty that mostly caused the deaths of Peterson and Pride. The Circuit Court found that there was a special relationship between Virginia Tech officials and Peterson and Pride, moreover inflicting a duty on Virginia Tech to warn them of the potential danger of a shooter. The Commonwealth appealed because they found that Virginia Tech officials breached that duty.
Commonwealth was aware of a shooting in a dorm in which one student was badly injured and another was killed. The Commonwealth was also aware that the shooter had alluded to the capture.
The Commonwealth had no idea who the gunman was because the investigation into the crime was still in its early stages. There is no obligation to notify people about unlawful activities committed by a third party. The Commonwealth is not responsible in this action since the circumstances did not even get to the threshold of reasonable foreseeability. The only exception is if the gunman and the victims have a particular relationship.
For Virginia Tech, however, 15 of these Virginia Tech officials suspected the shooting was a domestic issue, with the gunman possibly being the boyfriend of one of the victims based on the information from 3 different police departments.
The defendants believed the shooter had fled the area and constituted no threat to others based on the facts that were available at the time. Based on the data available at the time, the defendants concluded that the shooter had abandoned the area and posed no threat to others.
Assuming without deciding that a special relationship existed between the Commonwealth and students of Virginia Tech, there was no duty to warn the students of risks of harm posted by a potential shooter on campus. Thus, we will reverse the trials court's judgment, holding that a duty arose and enter final judgment in favor of the Commonwealth.